Hey guys, Scary Juju here. I wanted to start the video off by telling you guys how much I really appreciate the love and support you guys have shown me, and also thanking you guys for getting us over 500 subscribers, and I wanted to do something special for you guys. This is the first story that I've narrated that I've written myself, so this is my way of saying thank you for all the love and support. The desert sun is relentless today. I feel like I'm being cooked in an oven, and whoever turned it on forgot to take me out. Not yet, said Thompson. I wipe a drop of sweat from my eyes and look back into the scope. As soon as the wind drops, I pull the trigger. Last target down. I finally let out a breath I've been holding for a while. Bravo team, you're clear to move in. Let's go, Jack. We move into the second position as quickly as we can. From all the way out here, I can vaguely see Bravo team sneaking into the back gate of the large complex. Thompson, what are we doing out here in the middle of nowhere again? I asked. Who knows? Those agency spokes never tell us anything. It's highly classified. Well, no shit. Hey, at least they knew we were the best, right? Damn right we are, Thompson replied proudly. Jason, what's the situation in there? I asked Jason, an old friend of mine who just happened to be selected as squad leader of the Bravo team assembled by the Spooks. This place is so damn big. It looks like a whole community lives here. There's a main courtyard surrounded by apartments. Everything looks normal, but there's no one here. It almost looks abandoned, except it's not. Kinda hard to explain. That's odd, I said, surprised. Intel said there's supposed to be a meeting of high-ranking officials of Saddam's regime. Wait, that's what they told you guys? Thompson butted in. All they told us was that we needed to provide cover for you boys, I said next. Hold on, we're clearing the last house right now, said Jason. From here, you can see the vastness of the land. It's all rocks and sands for miles. It makes one question, why the hell this is built all the way out here? I can't seem to understand. There's no power lines, no roads, nothing. Just a large complex surrounded by vast emptiness. Wait, something has been bugging me for a while. If Saddam's top officials are meeting here, there should be way more security forces and soldiers. There were only 3 soldiers guarding the gates. I don't know, man. It is kinda strange, now that I think about it, said Thompson while surveying the large complex with his binoculars. Hey Jason, you guys found anything? I asked. We found a steel door in the middle of the courtyard. Looks like a door to an underground bunker. There's all types of weird symbols on it. I think it's painted in blood. What the fuck is this place? Replied Jason with a tone of confusion. We're gonna use some charges to blow the door open. Stand by to move in if we need reinforcement. Copy that, I replied. Looks like we might have a party on our hands, said Thompson jokingly while ammo counting his magazines. The sun was starting to set, and I could already feel the cold desert night creeping in. Suddenly, we heard a light thump coming from the direction of the complex. Assuming it was Bravo team using charges to blow open the supposed steel door, we started moving closer to the complex and stood by in case the squad leader called for reinforcement. What the hell is this door made out of? It's not budging at all. At least we blew the weird blood symbols off of it,"
said Jason over the radio, breaking the silence.
"They must be hiding something, or someone important."
At this point, the sun has finally set, and the last sun rays disappeared below the horizon of the desert land. We put on our NVGs and start closing in on the complex. "Sir, we're standing by at the back gate," I said to Jason over the radio. I'm not gonna lie, it is weird calling him sir. We were only 1 year apart in age and basically grew up together. He used to sleep over at my house every weekend during the summer when we were little. So he was basically my brother from another mother. When we joined the military after 9/11, we kind of went our separate ways. But our bond remained strong, even though we didn't see each other a lot. It's been a few years now. It felt good to talk to my brother again, even if it's not in the most ideal setting, seeing we're in the middle of a classified operation. My thoughts were suddenly interrupted by intense gunfire coming from inside the complex. I quickly looked at Thompson and gestured to the entrance while raising my rifle. The gate and walls surrounding the complex were significantly tall. We moved quickly through the back gate, which was also painted with weird symbols in blood, just like the one that Jason mentioned earlier, but I didn't really think nothing of it. Right after we entered the gate, we came across the tight hallway, surrounded by what I presume to be doors to apartments. We moved as quickly and carefully as possible while scanning the surroundings. As soon as we crossed the hallway, we heard a blood-curdling scream. And one last shot. This complex already looked large while we were surveying from the outside. But now that we're in here, it feels vast. It feels way bigger than it should be. Kinda hard to explain, but if you're unlucky enough to find yourself here, you'll probably understand what I'm trying to say. When we got to the end of the hallway, we were faced with another hallway that splits into 2 separate directions. "What the fuck do we do now?" asked Thompson while covering our 6. We had seconds to think. Every second in these kind of situations matter. Right when I was about to say something, a little girl appeared at the end of the hallway to our right, seemingly out of nowhere. I thought I was hallucinating for a second when I asked, "Thompson, please tell me you see that little girl right there." "I see her, man," he replied instantly. Thompson took an Arabic course in college before he enlisted, so he can kind of speak Arabic. Not enough to hold a conversation, but enough to get his point across. Thompson lowered his M16 and asked the little girl in Arabic, as non-threatening as possible, "Hey little girl, us friendly. Where is everyone?" As soon as he said that last line, the girl took off. We immediately ran after her. We're not dumb, so we weren't running like chickens with their heads cut off. This is still an unknown environment, and Bravo team just got into a gunfight with what we assumed to be hostile forces. We turned the corner tightly and reached what seemed like the main courtyard. The courtyard was almost the size of a football field. This is what I meant earlier when I said this place feels bigger than it should. There's no way in hell this complex should be able to fit a fucking football field in it. Oh, that wasn't even the most fucked up part. We didn't see any signs of Bravo team. It's like they just vanished. No signs of anything or anyone. It was dead silent. When you're a highly trained soldier with more than a decade of combat experience, your senses tend to be extremely sharp, no matter the situation or environment. But here, in this place, my senses were almost non-existent. "Sir, we're at the courtyard. I don't see anyone here," I radioed over to Jason, the squad leader. "Sir, come in. This is Jack. We're at the main courtyard." No reply. Just static. My mind was as confused as my senses were. I couldn't piece together what was happening. Where are the enemies? Where is Bravo team? Judging by the intense gunfire that we've heard earlier, this place should be in shambles. I don't understand. "I see something in the middle of the courtyard," said Thompson suddenly while looking ahead. We started walking carefully towards the middle. Like I said, it's a big ass courtyard, and even with our night vision on, you couldn't really make out what it was. Adrenaline was rushing through my body like a tsunami. I could feel my heart beating through my chest so hard that it might explode at any moment. Each step we took, my gut was telling me to turn and run. I've been on countless missions and ops that had odds stacked against us. I've been shot, stabbed, almost blown up by IEDs, captured by enemy forces, survived a suicide bombing, and have never felt a gut feeling this strong before. This was different. This didn't feel like any of those missions or near encounters with death. This felt like a pig being taken into a butcher shop. The pig can scream and thrash all at once, but the outcome is not gonna change one bit. As we got closer, we started stepping on shell casings. Not only that, the floor was covered in some sort of liquid. "Is this blood?" asked Thompson while crouching down to touch the liquid. "Fuck, it is blood. What the fuck is going on, man? Where the fuck is Bravo team?" I said aggressively while trying to mask the fear in my voice. Then suddenly, footsteps. It came from right in front of us. We raised our rifle again and flicked down our night vision goggles and started walking in the direction of the noise. "Is that's that fucking girl from the hallway," I said to Thompson. "Little girl, where..." Before Thompson could finish his sentence, the little girl jumped into what looked like a hole in the ground. We were about 20 feet away from her, so we ran as quickly as possible to where she jumped. Turns out, it wasn't a hole. It was the entrance to the supposed bunker that Jason mentioned earlier. The one with the door that was impossible to open. "I thought they couldn't get it open," said Thompson with a confused tone. "I have a feeling they didn't," I replied. I pulled out a light stick, cracked it, and threw it down the bunker. Thompson and I waited and waited, but we didn't hear the light stick reach the bottom. We just saw it become smaller and smaller and eventually disappear into the darkness below. There's no way in hell. That means that this supposed bunker is at least 300 feet deep. "What? This doesn't make any sense," I said. Thompson cracked another light stick and threw it again into the darkness below. We stared at the light stick for what seemed like 3 seconds before it hit something and scattered to the left. We both stepped back and pointed our rifles down into the darkness. I know Thompson saw it too. It may have been a fraction of a second, but god damn it, I know he saw it too. How the fuck do I describe this? Have you ever seen melted flesh before? I saw a face. It was melted to the point that you could almost see bones and muscles underlying the dermis. But there was nothing compared to its eyes. Just black. Blacker than the night. Blacker than the absence of light that was inside that hole. Blacker than eternal darkness itself. I've never had my soul stared into before, so I didn't know what it felt like. But after that fraction of a second, never again. Just fucking shoot that thing, I screamed. We started firing into the hole. We had no idea where we were shooting because it was so dark and it was so deep. After emptying our first clip, we reloaded as quickly as possible. As soon as we lowered our rifle down into the hole to unleash hell again, we heard noises coming from down below and immediately got out of the way. I took a step back, stumbled, and fell to the ground. Body parts and blood flew out of the hole like a volcano spitting out hot lava right before it's about to erupt. I'll never be able to get this image out of my mind again. Half of Jason's head flew out and fell right next to Thompson, hitting the ground with a wet squelch. I could see the hopelessness and primal fear in his half-eaten face. It looked like something humongous took a bite out of Jason's head, was bored, and just threw it away. My childhood friend, reduced to nothing more than a piece of flesh and bone. I instinctively grabbed 2 grenades, pulled both pins, and threw it in the hole. "Let's get the fuck out of here, Tom!" I screamed at the top of my lungs. We ran into the direction we came from. We took 3 strides and stopped in our tracks while falling down on our asses. About 15 feet away stood that little girl again. But she had the 2 grenades in her hand. I could feel tears running down my eyes now. I've never been so scared in my entire existence. That little girl had an abnormally wide smile from ear to ear. She didn't have eyebrows or lips. She had the same eyes as that fucking demon we saw in that hole. All of a sudden, she lowered her jaw and put both grenades in her mouth and swallowed. The next thing I saw was a bright flash with skin, blood, and gore exploding from her body. Thompson and I both put our hands up to cover our faces from the incoming rain of blood. "Oh my fucking god!" yelled Thompson. After removing my hand from my face, I could see a towering creature. It didn't have skin on its body. I could see its muscles, but they weren't normal. They were decaying. Some of them were barely hanging on its tall frame. I saw its face again, this time more clearly. I thought the skin on its face was melted, but its face was made out of patches of skin that didn't belong to it. Jason had a very distinct scar on the left side of his forehead from an accident that happened during a game of tag when we were kids. That scar remained a token of his clumsiness for the remainder of his life. I could see a scar on a patch of disgusting skin and flesh on the right side of that demonic entity's face. Before I could blink, that thing got into a sprinting position and sprinted towards Thompson at full speed. It took 2 strides and lifted Thompson up in the air with its giant fingers. Thompson looked at me for a second and said... He couldn't say anything. He was vertically ripped into 2 identical pieces before he had the chance to voice his last words. The creature threw the left side of Thompson's body at my feet and smiled. Then it proceeded to eat the innards of the other piece that it was still holding in his hand. I ran until my lungs caught fire and my legs broke down. I ran to the point that my body was begging for me to stop. I didn't think. I just let my instinct take over. I can't even remember how I got out of the complex. I just ran into the desert until I fell down and passed out due to exhaustion. The sun is even more relentless than it was yesterday. I can't believe they found me alive. I thought I was about to die in this godforsaken desert. Everything that happened from here on out was a blur. All I remember was I woke up in a hospital at a military base in Baghdad. "Welcome back, sir. How are you feeling?" asked a medical staff. "I don't know," I whispered. I just cried. All I could do was cry. I found out through a friend of mine in the agency that they went into the complex after they found me half dead, lying in the desert. They said that they didn't find any trace of Bravo Team or Thompson. The place looked abandoned supposedly. I asked them if they found a steel door on the main courtyard. I almost dropped the phone when he answered my question.
They did. They got the door open somehow. It was apparently a small bunker. When they opened it, they found a little girl inside.
What? I stuttered. How did they get it open? Was the bunker door covered in blood symbols? I asked.
I don't think so. Look just like your standard bunker doors, I guess.
He replied. Where's the girl now?
That's the strange thing. After we took her into custody and flew to base, she just disappeared.
My heart sank into my lower spine. Whatever massacred Bravo Team, along with Jason and Thompson, was free. I finally put the pieces together. That complex, that bunker, those symbols. That was a prison. A prison that held the darkest and most demonic entity you could think of. I had to get this story out. I can feel it coming. That thing stared into my soul, and now it's coming to claim it. I don't know what else to say. Just live.